I think it's
so we can send in the
disgusting that
jets. I've
people like
persuaded
you make people like me feel guilty about worrying about Britain's national security.
Don't worry about it. Why are we where we are now with the war in Ukraine?
Because we keep on escalating the conflict and prolonging it instead of negotiating.
No, hold on. You don't think Vladimir Putin putting his tanks on the border and saying we won't go into Ukraine exactly 12 months ago, you don't think that accelerated events?
I don't think Vladimir Putin woke up one morning last year and decided to invade Ukraine. I think there's a whole background to the conflict in Ukraine that's been going on for a... Sorry?
How can you be so wrong?
I'm not being wrong. I'm telling you.
No, you are. I mean, you're not just wrong. You are vastly incorrect.
Have you ever heard of the Minsk Accords?
Yes, I have. No, I have. But no, of course I have. But should we go to more recent events, which was 12 months ago? Tanks amassed on the border, and I have heard of the Minsk Accord. Of course I have. And a Russian leader saying, "No, we're not going to invade. No, we're on exercises," and then invading. How come you can choose totally to ignore that?
How can
No. Don't answer a question. I'll answer yours. How can you choose to ignore? No. How can you choose to?
What do you mean? No, I'm responding to your question.
Great. So how can you ignore that?
Right. I'm not ignoring it. I'm saying history didn't begin last year.
No, of course it didn't.
Right, okay. So there was a whole 8-year civil war before then.
Yes.
But we started by overthrowing Yanukovych, the democratically elected president of Ukraine, in early 2014, and that led to a civil war in Ukraine. Yes. And if that civil war never began, this wouldn't have escalated.
Right. Okay.
Do you accept that?
You're not actually. So you're saying that everything that took place virtually 12 months to the day is all to blame from 2014, and the fact that he put those tanks there, the fact he said was never going to invade, we can just ignore that.
I am saying everything
I think you're going to have to stay behind in class.
Since then.
Yeah, I think we might have to give you lines today, Leslie.
I'm going to go to London to march with the Stop the War Coalition on Saturday.
Right.
Because I feel so strongly about these fighter jets. I'm totally against it.
How is
Putin himself has threatened no fewer than 35 times to nuke the UK.
How is the war to be resolved?
Well, I don't know the answer to that because I'm not a war genius.
No,
but
I'm not a war genius.
I do know that Putin is not on our borders.
No.
And that there is, as your last caller said, a very long backstory to this, to the Ukraine and Russia story. Now, I don't know all the history about Ukraine and Russia.
He's on NATO borders, and the United Kingdom is part of NATO.
He's not on NATO borders.
Once he's into Ukraine,
not yet.
Once he's into Ukraine, he's invaded a country that is on the borders of NATO.
So you want to sacrifice? I think Britain is going to be the sacrificial lamb if we keep escalating this conflict.
You think
we're an island?
Right.
They could nuke us, and it wouldn't have any effect if they were Airbus on anyone else. They could do that, and they could just seal us off. And leave us.
They are not.
We're in line for it before the USA, and if you think the USA,
they are not going to nuke the United Kingdom. Wrong. They're not going to. And while I understand you feel strongly about that,
I do.
Do you not feel strongly about maternity hospitals being bombed by Putin?
I do, but I think we should solve it by sending more support and aid. I'd get on a. I'd go.
So more charity workers to get bombed. Catherine,
people should go out there and help,
and then get bombed.
Evacuate them. You can't evacuate people from a nuclear war.
Where are we going to put them once you evacuate them from
Well, it's better to evacuate people there
but where do
than
they
leave
go?
them to die.
Where do they go?
There are places they can go.
Where?
Well, where did people go in World War II when they evacuated people? That was the policy then.
All over the world.
It was an organised policy. My uncle was an evacuee, and it worked.
Hang on, you're going to evacuate the whole of Ukraine?
Look, you're being over the top about Ukraine. It's not happening.
You're saying that Britain's going to get nuked and burnt to a frazzle,
they could go
and I'm the one who's going over the top, am I?
So you see no danger at all in providing fighter jets? That's my question to you.
No, it's the way it's going to end.
How can you justify end? Yeah. It will end very abruptly if it goes the wrong way, won't it?
It won't go the wrong way. It won't go the wrong way.
How do you know that? How are you confident of that? Fill me with some hope.
Absolutely, because you can see that Russia's not on the back foot, but their air force is depleted. The NATO if you put all the countries together, has far better aircraft. Once you give Ukraine control of its airspace, it'll be game over. And they won't get maternity hospitals bombed, and they won't be raping the women to try and subjugate the local population. And I rather support that, but I'm not sure you do.
I do.
Good.
I think it's
so
disgusting that people like you make people like me feel guilty about worrying about Britain's national security
don't worry about
by
it.
coming up with this line that I am some horrible person
I've never said that
supports people being raped.
I mean,
for God's sake, I'm a woman. Why on earth would I support that?
I've never said you support that.
I'm also an animal lover. There are animals that people never talk about in Ukraine as well.
They have to be combated. They have to be stopped from bombing maternity hospitals, bombing schools, and raping the women. And
I agree with that. So how could anyone disagree? But I do think we're playing a very dangerous game. And that's why a lot of intellectuals disagree with sending fighter jets. It's not just me, an ordinary member of the public.
Would you go over there?
I would go over there to help, yeah. To prove my point, I'll go over there and pack my bags tomorrow and go over there. And help and try and help evacuate people with a plan to evacuate and a plan to help humanitarian aid up that, not warmongering.